it is very crucial that you don't get disrupted in what you're trying to achieve and accomplish in life by people who simply have no idea about what they're talking about. And because as a child, I know this for myself, born as an African living in Zimbabwe, everything everybody said, especially if they were older than me, needed to be listened to and respected. And it really took a while for me to get that shit out of my system. No, not everybody needs to be listened to. And certainly we can be respectful and kind, but sometimes you need to learn how to shut it down and not let everyone's opinion affect your decisions. What a joy to see you on another Truth Telling Thursday. I'm excited to be coming to you live from Zurich, Switzerland, as always. Not Zurich, Switzerland, but in the countryside near to Zurich. Anyway, let's get into our topic for the Truth Telling Thursday. And I wanted to talk about receiving feedback and giving feedback. Two very essential things to develop and not so easy. Right? There was a time in my life where I found it extremely challenging to receive any type of critical feedback. And I would think and think and think about what people had said to me and get upset and just feel like it's really difficult for me to receive feedback. But I also can say that a lot of people do not know how to give feedback. Right? So yes, we can be sensitive in receiving feedback, but there's also a lot of people that need to learn how to give feedback, because at the end of the day, it's the thing that makes us grow the most. If you ask me, out of all the things that I have had to change inside of myself, that is one of the things, top three maybe, that has allowed me to grow and expand and become the woman I am today, being able to receive critical feedback, positive feedback, because some of us cannot even take the positive feedback because we're so busy focused on the negative that we don't actually are able to just receive great feedback. So we need to start training and building that muscle of receiving and giving feedback, because it is the one thing that is going to be a game changer. Especially when you get into situations where you're growing and you're moving from A and you're trying to get to point B and you're trying to move as fast as possible. That feedback loop is going to be so important because it allows you to rethink what you're doing, adapt, and grow faster. So let's talk first about giving feedback. So I learned from this amazing club, which some of you may know, called the Toastmasters, where it's all about public speaking and developing yourself as a leader, something called the sandwich technique. And it's very important to be aware when it's time to get feedback, whether that's in your relationship or with your child or at work or wherever there is that situation of being in that space of wanting people to know what they could be doing better or what you perceive as not quite the way it should be. You want to use what they call the sandwich technique. And in the sandwich technique, you start with something encouraging. You start with something positive. You start with something that can raise the frequency of that conversation so the person can open and relax and be available to hear more. So it could be like, hey, I can see you're really trying your best, and I'm super excited that you're part of this team. That being said, there's a couple of things we need to discuss about improving your performance or improving the communications or whatever the thing is, right? And then you go in and you say one or two things. You don't want to come with 10 things. You want to make sure that whenever you're giving feedback, you're just zooming in on one or two of the most important factors, right? And then after you've said in a very uplifting way, right, the feedback. So it's just like, hey, for example, in your talk today, I felt like there could have been more structure in how you presented the material. And I also felt like you could have taken a lot more time to unpack this certain part of the presentation, because that was a really important part. And I feel like that could have spent more time on that. So I'm excited for your next presentation. I'm really looking forward to hear more of what you have to say. And I really see the improvement that you're doing. Boom! It's a sandwich, and everybody can be much more elevated. So and it's very difficult to develop this in relationships that are already existing, and bad habits around feedback have already been taking place. So you need to be mindful that in some relationships, you're going to need to rebuild the feedback muscle, right? Because we have got used of just blurting out whatever we think is wrong or not wrong, and we just haven't built that muscle. It's easier to build this in new relationships where you are just beginning or just starting out, obviously. But it's important to circle back to those longer term relationships and start implementing the sandwich technique and watch, because at the end of the day, we need to be able to give feedback. Feedback is important. But we also need to make sure that it's landing in a way that allows people to take that feedback on and grow and run with it, right? So please, if you're listening to this, it's because, and you've got this far in the video, it's because you need this message. And I want you to start practicing the sandwich technique right now. Start today, okay? Now, in the chat, why don't you go ahead and share with me some of the relationships where you know you need the sandwich technique but have not been using it, right? And maybe you could also share some of the new relationships where you're going to go in and start using this amazing leadership quality, right? So that's all about the art of giving feedback and really giving it from a generous place of love and uplifting, right? And then there is the receiving, the ability to receive feedback, which is another whole thing, okay? So on this point, let's focus on receiving positive feedback, because I know that a lot of people start shutting down, closing down when people start complimenting them or saying nice things about them. We just don't know what to say, feel uncomfortable, and start wanting to shut it down. This is deadly for your confidence and for your building yourself up in any type of field that you want to build yourself up, whether that's in a relationship, intimate relationship, or whether that's in the work environment. We need to be able to receive. And I love, love, love something that my coach, Lisa, one of my amazing coaches, Lisa, once told me, is she said, you need to say, thank you. I received that. And I loved that and started to implement that in my own life. So whenever you're getting the feedback, take a breath, open your heart, and let it come through. Yes, yes, every word. Let it absorb, reprogram, rewire your system, reboot your engine, refuel your tank, and say, thank you so much. I received that. And really take a moment to pause and feel it and let that person be seen and heard and appreciated for that beautiful generosity of pouring into us, right? And then, of course, there's the critical feedback, which is a little less easy to manage, okay? Because, of course, if you don't have somebody with a high level of critique, feedback, prowess, yes, where they use the sandwich, they know how to motivate people, but still be able to give them feedback, then that is where you might need to think about a couple of things. So one of the things that I think is very important when I'm receiving feedback is to receive feedback from the right people, right? So that means that if I am talking about public speaking and I want to receive feedback from a public speaker, I want to receive feedback from an expert. I want to listen to people that know what it feels like to stand in front of an audience, prepare a great presentation, deliver a great presentation, and or bomb in front of an audience and feel, terror. I want someone with experience. So you've got to be very careful who you're receiving feedback from, right? So it's okay to stop people right there. If somebody wants to tell you about how you should be running your business but don't have a business, right? Never ran a business in their life, it's okay to say, hey, listen, I'm telling you right now, I just take business advice from people that have had a business, but thank you so much for, caring and wanting to give me some feedback. I really do appreciate it. But I'm very clear. I listen to people. I want to grow $1 million business. I want to listen to a person who's grown $1 million business. Now, you might find like, oh, is that a bit rude? Is that a bit? I don't think it is, actually. I think it is great to be authentic. Rather, if you can't do that, then you might want to listen and let it in and let it out. Because, as I said before, it is very crucial that you don't get disrupted in what you're trying to achieve and accomplish in life by people who simply have no idea about what they're talking about. And because as a child, I know this for myself, born as an African living in Zimbabwe all of my adult, everything everybody said, especially if they were older than me, needed to be listened to and respected. And it really took a while for me to get that shit out of my system. No, not everybody needs to be listened to, and certainly we can be respectful and kind, but sometimes you need to learn how to shut it down and not let everyone's opinion affect your decisions, your plans, and what you're doing. So in receiving feedback, yes, be able to get those beautiful flowers that help you to see the beauty in yourself and what you're doing. That's awesome. Make sure that you're getting expert feedback so that you can really learn. Yes, and it isn't easy getting any type of feedback, even the expert feedback, right? I've invested literally hundreds of thousands of dollars in my personal growth. And the hardest part was having a coach tell me, don't do this, don't do that, and something which I thought maybe might have been a good idea. And I'm like, oh no. And learning to be open and coachable to go, okay, that's why I'm paying you the big bucks. I don't really know how to do this. So yes, I'll take that feedback on, even though my system feels like, I don't know, is this right for me? The thing is, when you're building a new muscle, you think you might know what is right or not right for you, but you've got to be very careful because you could simply just be uncomfortable. Anything that I've ever achieved in my life has come from me stepping outside of my comfort zone. Yes, stepping outside of my comfort zone, stepping into the realm of being uncomfortable. So it's very tricky to understand, is this my ego that's scared and uncomfortable and so I'm rejecting this, or is this really something I should be rejecting? So until you've really figured it out, here's what I think you should do. Find a coach, a mentor that you trust because of their track record. That's the only thing that should really make you go, okay, you're qualified to let me, to teach me on this thing. And then even if you feel resistance, even if you feel like this might not be quite right, give it a go. You have nothing to lose. And every time I did that, poof, I grew, and grew. Yes? So feedback is so important. It is the elixir of success. I see so many people wanting success but not understanding the power of getting great feedback, of receiving positive feedback, of being able to give great feedback and encourage others so that they can thrive around you. So I hope this Truth Telling Thursday has been another great insight to a great topic. Post in the comments your thoughts on this topic, right? Where are you in your ability to give feedback that allows people to grow? Yeah? Are you using that sandwich technique? Are you realizing that inside of your more steady relationships, you might need to bring this technique in and start changing? Not easy to disrupt old patterns of behavior, but certainly worth it, because every time we bring a new energy of transformation into our old relationships, magic starts to happen in those relationships. Nothing changes until we change our attitude. So think about it. If you are feeling like you're not really getting the response you expect to be getting from your great feedback, you might want to start thinking about how you're giving that feedback. Okay? And as I said, be very mindful about who you receive the feedback from. This is key, super, super key to really becoming successful. And there are some people that just simply aren't qualified to give the feedback they're giving. And so if you take it on, you might not get to where you need to go because you're just not listening to the right people. Okay, so guys, have fun with this. It's been another Truth Telling Thursday from me, Mahima, here in Switzerland, in the mountains. Well, not really mountains, almost kind of mountains. And I just want to say thank you, if you've got this far in the video, for supporting these teachings. Share them with more people. I want to help make the world a better place, one human being at a time. We change our mindset, we change our heart set, and then we change the actions that we're taking. Together, we can make this world a much more beautiful place where humans are just more integral, loving, and respectful to each other. Love you so much. Thank you. And stay cool. Stay awesome. Bye-bye.